Good day, everyone. This is Grizzly Rising, and I'm reporting from behind enemy lines. I hope you all had a great and happy new year. I hope you all are doing well. And I do apologize for getting this video out so late, but the holidays, or as I like to call them, the hell days, and just life in general got me a little busy, so I haven't had time to really record a video. And record a video and do a good job of recording it. So a little preference to why I'm doing a part 2 of this video about this walled out used rental car that I did a video on the last time. I was going to do the video in one shot, but towards the end I started having a bunch of interruptions, too much noise, and a bunch of stuff like that, and I could have soldiered on, but what I decided to do was edit that first video, get rid of all the crap, then do a part 2 instead of just doing it in one shot. So that's why I'm doing a part 2. I also want to thank my subscribers and my new subscribers. Thank you for coming and watching my videos and commenting and supporting this channel as it grows and as I rebuild from my last channel being finger snapped by YouTube Thanos. So let's get into the second half of this video. And in this part, I'm gonna talk about what's her name, Havrilesky, or whatever her face was, gives the advice that she gives this walled out used rental car, this half-eaten steak, this burnt pie, who's 35, who's been, riding a cock carousel since she was 18 and probably been dicked down by thousands of Chads and Tyrones. Let's see what this other walled out thought tells her. Dear Haunted, art isn't something you need an outside license or paycheck to pursue. It's a way of life. It's a way of adding up what you feel and where you've been and what you fear and what you can imagine. It's a way of seeing your life through the lens that makes everything good and bad, confusing and clarifying, uplifting and depressing, valuable. Too many ands in that sentence. That's just a pet peeve of mine. Anywho, let's continue on. Shame is the opposite of art. When you live inside of shame, everything you see is inadequate and embarrassing. A lifetime of traveling and having adventures, not being tied to long-term commitments, looks empty, apathetic, and foolish. Oh, God. Do these people actually know grammar? And she's a journalist? Continuing. Through the lens of shame. Okay, well, no, I wouldn't call it a lifetime of traveling. I call it a lifetime of pulling geographics. And I wouldn't call them having adventures. And I wouldn't call being tied to long-term commitments anything worthwhile. And this broad says it looks empty, pathetic, and foolish. Well, you know what, dummy? It is pathetic, empty, and foolish. And this woman should be ashamed of herself. She should, for all intent and purposes, be absolutely ashamed of herself. Because she put herself in this position. She created this mess. How many nice guys did she turn down, reject, and outright humiliate? Like I said in the previous video, how many did she do? How many? And let's get this picture of Wile E. Coyote off of here. And if you're wondering why I have a picture of the wall imprint of Wile E. Coyote, that's what it looks like when a woman hits the wall. So let me scooch over here and get this off. And oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Where the flipping flopping? There it is. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. But here's the article, and let me blow it up a little bit more for you so you can kind of see it. There. So she does all that. She goes into all this stuff, and she calls this woman pulling geographics an adventure. It wasn't an adventure. She ran. She cut and run. Instead of facing everything and recovering from it, she decided to fuck everything and run. And now all those moves, all that stuff, all that debt she's in, it's caught up with her. So let's continue. Your body will only grow. You haven't found a partner. Your face is aging. Your body will only grow weaker. Your mind is less elastic. Your time is running out. Shame turns every emotion into a manifestation of some personality flaw, every casual choice into a giant mistake, every small blunder into a moral failure. Shame means that you're damned and you've accomplished nothing and it's all downhill from here. Well, actually, she is right, and she should be ashamed of herself once again. And this woman has several personality flaws. That can't be worked on if she's willing to take the time and do it, but of course it's everybody else's fault. And I wouldn't call her those mistakes she made small blunders. Working at a dead-end job, just getting rammed and slammed, plowed, drilled and filled by all these Chads and Tyrones in her 20s, in early 30s, are moral failures. It's absolute moral failure as a woman. I'm sorry. And everybody getting, that's a double standard. Well, this is one of the few double standards which men get to enjoy because we don't have many. So yeah, she should. And instead of being, this broad, this Heather Havrilesky, and let's get a picture of that old thought up there for you guys to see. Where's it at? There it is. And we'll do that. Come on. Come on. There you go. There we are, and that's a little sloppy. I apologize. Let's edit that out and make it fit in the little monitor box. It's very unprofessional on my part, and I do apologize. So that's how we'll have Aleski, and we'll leave the eye cancer up there for a minute because I know how much y'all miss the eye cancer segments I used to do when I streamed. So, and if you wonder why I got my head turns, because I'm chewing my skin. It's what bears do. So we'll leave the picture of that old thought up there for you to look at, and that's why she's saying this stuff. I mean, this woman should feel ashamed of herself, but instead of drowning in her own sorrow and crying, having tears in her beer, what she should do is she should reflect and find out what she needs to do going forward so she can salvage this train wreck that's her life. And hey, look, she listened to the lies of feminism. She didn't find a good, nice guy to settle down with in her 20s and build something and have kids with and be loyal. She decided she wanted to ride the cock carousel. And yeah, it is right. And she has accomplished nothing. And it is all downhill it's all downhill from here on for this woman because she's 35. She's at the wall. Women, the main, what am I trying to say? The biggest asset a woman has is her fitness, her fertility, and her looks. A guy looking to marry a woman because she has a friggin' college degree is a moron, and he's a beta simp cuck. But a man worth his salt, doesn't care about that. Like there's a song by this one guy, and one of the phrases is, quote, "I can't stick my dick in your college degree." So we don't care if you have a college degree. And she's accomplished nothing. Let's continue on. I'm being redundant. You need to discard some of the shame you're carrying around all the time. But if you can't cast off your shame that quickly through the lens of art, shame becomes valuable. When you're curious about your shame, instead of afraid of it, you can see it as a true texture of the day and the richness of the moment with all of its flaws. Oh, give me a fucking break. You can run your hands along your own self-defeating edges until you get a splinter, and you can pull that splinter out and stare at it and consider it. When you face your shame with an open heart, you're on a path to art, on a path to finding joy and misery and fear and hope in the folds of your day, more like the folds of her wrinkles. Even as your job is slow and dull and pointless, even as your afternoons alone feel treacherous and daunting, you can train your eyes on the low-hanging clouds until a tiny bit of sunlight filters through. God, what a bunch of fluffy bunny, feel good, you go girl, it's not your fault, complete and total utter bullshit. You are alive and will probably be alive for many decades to come. That's the best part. That is the best part because she's going to be alive for many decades to come. And she's going to be alone with her cat and her vibrators and dildos. That's the best part. Unmarried, unlovable. Well, not necessarily. That's not true. And I'll explain that after I get them reading through this tripe. The numbers on your credit card statements can feel harrowing, but you could take that feeling and keep it coming instead of letting it eat you alive. It should eat her alive. You can walk to the corner store to buy a newspaper and pull out the weekend calendar section and circle something and make a commitment to do that one thing. You could build a new kind of existence. Yeah, being a spinster. One that feels small and flawed and honest, but each day you accumulate kind of treasure that doesn't disappear. Is that the smell of cat piss? Or like when the cat decides, it doesn't want to go in the litter pan and it shits in the corner of the house where you can't find it? Yeah, that's your fucking goal, baby. Because instead of running away from the truth, you welcome it. You don't treat what you have as pointless. You work with what you have. Well, sweetheart, in your case, it isn't much because you're walled out and stalled out. You hit the wall like Wile E. Coyote. You hit the wall, come straight out of hyperspace, babe. Now let's continue with this nonsense. That doesn't mean it's easy. It's not easy for anyone, no matter how many deep roots that they might have nurtured bullshit. I find it very hard, even not to do the hard things that I need to do in order to feel good. You mean like change the batteries out in your vibrator? I slip into bad habits easily without noticing, and my worldview suffers for it. I know exactly which good practices will fuel me and make me wake up to the world around me. I know that when I'm feeling ashamed and sick inside, I have to stand outside of that feeling and examine it and treat it like a fascinating artifact. Something useful, something to build from, something to treasure even. Excuse me. That's how I feel about that nonsense. This is, like I said, this is all fluffy bunny, feel good, new agey fucking bullshit. Alright, I mean, she should feel a sense of shame. She screwed her life up. Anybody that screws their life up, including me, should feel a sense of shame. But what this broad's doing, not Havaleski's just another dumb thought that doesn't know anything. You know, just another dumb bunny. A walled out slag, as you can see from the picture up there. You know, she should, instead of wallowing it, she should look at it as like, okay, I screwed up my life. I made big mistakes. What can I do now? You know, besides sit here with my cat and dildo and vibrators and the smell of cat piss. Oh gosh, she continues. Hold on. Let me be more concrete. Promoting a book, which is what I've been doing since my new book came out last month. Wow, shameless self-promotion. Is fun and exciting. You get to travel and meet new people, but there are aspects of it that feel a little corrosive. Too much focus on self, on presentation, on sales numbers, on whether or not your work matters. Right now I'm reading the novel Less by Andrew Sean Greer, probably a cuck. And I love the way it captures exactly how insecure writers can be and how much the world will magically transform around them in order to manifest that insecurity and then torture them with it. Cry me a river, cry me a stream. But Less is also a story about shame. When you carry around a suspicion that there's something sort of embarrassing or pathetic about you, you find ways to project that shame onto completely innocuous things. You find ways to tell yourself that everyone is laughing at you behind your back somewhere, and they probably are because you're a walled out old thought. Possibly at a party where they are serving beautiful, tasty drinks, but you weren't invited. You're too old now, exactly, because you know what? When you thoughts ride the cock carousel, there's a sign saying you must be this young to ride, and it has a certain cutoff point around 35, maybe 45 if you're genetically gifted and you take care of yourself. Continuing, you're no longer reciting or reporting. You don't matter. You never really did. Well, you never really did matter because you put yourself there. You want to be the sex pot. You want to be the whore, the thought. You want to get ran through by 1,000 Chads and Tyrones, and they just looked at you as another socket to stick their dick in. And you did to yourself. Like once again, with this broad, not this can't understand normal thinker that's responding to her, but the one that wrote in, the one that's like, "Woe was me, I'm 35, and you know I'm used rental car." I mean, once again, how many nice guys does she outright humiliate, reject, friend zone, and otherwise push away? So she could have Chad and Tyrone run up into her when she was young and attractive. How many? I mean, she made herself into an object. She willingly offered herself up as a sex object. And so she doesn't really matter because Chad and Tyrone are now moving on to your younger versions. Continuing with this drivel. Shame creates imaginary worlds inside your head. This haunted house you're creating is forged from your shame. No, it's forged from the fact that you're 35 years old and your goddamn vagina is Mogadishu. That's your haunted house, because I joke around with friends and I piss off a lot of women when I say this, is that a 35-year-old is the equivalent of a 60-year-old man. A 35-year-old woman is the equivalent of a 60-year-old man. And not really, but I think it's a pretty good analogy. All right, let's get through this nonsense. No one else can see it, so you keep trying to describe it to them. You find easy ways to say, you don't want any part of this mess. I am mediocre, aging rapidly, and poor. Aww, the little witty. Do yourself a favor, leave me behind. You want to be left behind, though. Well, she deserves to be left behind because who wants a used rental car? Okay, let me rephrase that. Who wants to pay full price for a used rental car? That way, no one bears witness to what you become. Well, they could bear witness, all right, when they just take one look at you because you're old, you got wrinkles, you're 35, your uterus is Mogadishu, basically. It's a third world shithole. Okay, here's some more fluffy bunny nonsense. It's time to come out of hiding. It's time to step into the light and be seen. Shame and wrinkles and failures and fears at all. Yeah, like no one wants to see an old spinster, that's for damn sure. Especially someone like you. Here's the kicker. I've had to step into the light myself lately. I had to admit that I was building a new haunted house out of my imagination. No, your house is haunted. Your old broken down thought. I mean, just look at this, like, a hard-faced looking bitch right here. She's pretty, she's hit the wall hard, and you could tell by the unvarnished look of joy in her face that she's butt sore and butthurt because she can no longer ride the cock carousel. Continuing, but my mistakes and experiences and choices brought me to this moment. They might make me sad or embarrassed or ungrateful, but they're precious because they give this day its unique mood. When I drag them into the light, I feel better. This is where I could begin. Today I have countless chances to reinvent, rework, and reorder myself in my experience. You do too. I can figure out some ways to make one true connection, to do one hard thing, to savor one moment. So can you. Ugh, God. I know you're trying, she's not trying. I know you've worked hard and you're tired. No, she hasn't worked hard. Well, if you consider getting on your back and spreading your legs working hard, I guess she's worked hard. Excuse me. You don't like your job, but you don't feel like you can quit. You wish you hadn't lived the way you lived. You wish you made closer friends and built more lasting relationships and stayed in one place. You feel like you've had very little time left, and maybe you don't even care that much about the time you have left right now. Yeah, she cares about it. That's why she's bemoaning and crowing and crying, woe is me. It's like, listen, sweetheart, get off the cross. We need the fucking wood. And another thing, build a bridge and get over it. But your concept of yourself makes no sense. You got it from a rom-com, age 35. There's not an expiration date on your beauty and your worth. Yes, it is. It doesn't matter if you're a single human alive. If every single human alive believes this, it's your job to cast this notion out forever. I'm 48 years old. Oh, yeah, she's my age. Look at her, man. Just slagged out and tagged out. Walled out and stalled out. She's been drilled and filled, and now she's in spinster mode. I'm 48 years old, and I'm determined not to tell a story about myself that started in some beauty product boardroom among unimaginative corporate marketing professionals. Let me translate that from you from can't understand normal thinker to English. Men. That's what she's saying. Unimaginative corporate marketing professionals. She's talking about men. So the misery runs deep with this biatcha. I fail at this quest off because you're a woman, but I am still determined. I'm going to choose to embrace narratives that make me feel more alive and able to contribute whatever twisted crafts I can to this world while I can. If you want to build a life of part and have a more satisfying career, maybe have children, God. Just what we need is more children who have a bad case of the pan face. You need to treat yourself like a treasured child starting to dig, brother. If you had a daughter who was 35 years old and felt like all of her traveling and moving was a giant mistake, it was because she said, fuck everything and run. It was a giant mistake that embodied everything bad and short-sighted about her. What would you tell her? You'd tell her she was wrong. You say your life is just beginning. Nope, it's pretty much over. Hit the wall. Get past the wall. Get your cats, get your dildos, have a nice day. And look, her life isn't totally over. Her life isn't beginning anyway, so let me continue with this fucking horseshit. Learn to treat yourself the way a loving older parent would. Tell yourself this reckoning serves a purpose. Your traveling served a purpose, was to run away from her mistakes and run away from all the people she probably burnt, hurt, abused, and rejected. Instead of facing them, making amends and recovering from it and learning from the experience. Your movie served a purpose. You're sitting on a pile of gold if you consider cat shit and expired D-cell batteries gold that you've earned through your own hard work. You just can't see it yet. Well, she can't see the wrinkles in her face when she looks in the mirror, and she can see that turkey neck developing. You can't see it because you're blindfolded by your shame. She should be ashamed, but she can see it all right. Because you can tell how you can tell an old thought if she's had plastic surgery, as you just count the rings like you do on a tree. You just count the rings around her neck, just like you count the rings around a tree trunk to tell how old it is. It's okay to be in debt and worried. It's okay to feel lonely and lost. It's okay to feel tired of trying. It's okay to want more and wonder how to get it. You're just a human, and that's how we feel a lot. It's not irregular or aberrant to feel despair. This is part of survival. Your shame is forming your despair into a merciless story about your worth. Yeah, she's worthless to men, to build high-value men. Don't let it do that. Build something else from your shame instead. What will blind you? Only you know that. What is shame worth? You'll find out once you start digging in. Here comes a little self-confession. Like I said, she should be ashamed of herself. And maybe not for the fact that she's 35 or whatever, but for the fact is, like I said, I want to know, because the broad that wrote in is not being completely honest. She's not talking about how many friendships she's ruined, how many people she's burned in her life, how many men she's burnt through, because she wanted to get random slammed by Chad and Tyrone. I'm going to keep beating that into the ground too, because repetition is the mother with skill. All right, let's continue digging out more bullshit. And by the time we get done, we're going to have enough bullshit for a mountain. I'll start for you. My shame is enormous. I keep seeing it lately. It keeps me online, interacting with ghosts, making meaning out of my pointless little broadcasts of pronouncements. It keeps me scanning the horizons for improvements. My shame keeps me fixated on novelties, on the future, on some exciting version of me that's only a purchase or breakthrough away. You could be better than this. My shame whispers in my ear, you're 38 years old, Heather. You're walled out and stalled out. You're beyond walled out and stalled out. I mean, you passed through like 5 different walls already. Seriously. You know, you're done. You're done, babe. You know, just call it a life and don't be a bitch. Continuing, you need to try harder. You need to hide the scary things you carry around. You need to act like you were right. You know, you're so inadequate and broken. You are broken that you never will. Here we go. When I am hiding from my shame, I'm also viewing my life through the lens of that shame. I get fixated on what needs fixing. But nothing needs fixing, actually. I need to come back to reality and live there instead. Well, the reality is you're old, you're probably not married, you don't have any kids. Living in reality means becoming a scientist of shame. It's an investigation. I can look at my shame, consider it, lament it, and celebrate it, treasure it, how it changes the atmospheric pressure, how it makes it possible for me to reach out to other people in the hopes of making some connection, how it opens my eyes to the beautiful little awkward minutes of this day. My shame is the fuel that keeps me writing. My shame is the fuel that makes me exercise. My shame gives me a lens for my understanding. Oh, she does have a husband and kids. I feel sorry for them. Never mind, take it back. I thought she was a spinster, but nope. She trapped some. She probably trapped some beta buck and got him locked down with kids. My shame makes my work possible. My shame, when I invent it, when I invite it in and forgive it, builds empathy for others. Fluffy bunny bullshit nonsense. All right, you know what? Listen, this thing goes on and on. It's like she's writing a friggin' novel. So we're gonna get done with that, and we're gonna take this thought off. Beyond thought. There we go. We got Wile E. Coyote back up there, so we're good to go. But Miss 35-year-old walled out and stalled out. You know, her uterus is Mogadishu. She could probably fit an aircraft carrier in her vagina. She's having so many guys ran through her, and all's not lost for her though. But she's gonna have to do a couple things, and she's gonna have to lower her standards. And one of them standards is gonna be she's gonna have to either date someone that she deems below her status, because she has a college degree and she has a corporate job. She might have to go for a blue collar guy. And listen, for all you fucknuts and morons and assholes out there, start accusing me of coming down on and putting down blue collar guys. I'm not. Okay, I respect blue collar guys, because if it wasn't for blue collar guys, we wouldn't have a fucking country. All right, so now we got that out of the way. She might have to marry a blue-collar guy. Or what she might have to do is she might have to marry someone in their late 40s and early 50s. But I think the biggest problem with Miss 35-year-old Thought, is the fact that she talks about getting drunk and then either getting angry or sad and blowing up on people and just being a complete and total bitch towards them. And I think she might be an alcoholic. You know, you need to get your alcoholism under control, sweetheart. You need to go to AA, go to rehab, do what you got to do, because most people, period, most men, period, are not going to put up with that shit. And let me tell you something. The 12-step thoughts are worse than the regular thoughts, and I might do a video about that down the road. But seriously, she needs to get her drinking under control. She needs to check her attitude. She needs to lower her standards. Because you're 35, you're at the point now where if you have a kid, there's a good chance it's going to turn out to have a bad case of the pan face. Meaning it's going to have Down syndrome. And I'm not putting down kids with Down syndrome. I'm just telling you the hard, cold truth about things. All right. You know, it's the way it is. She's gonna have to get that under control. She's gonna have to learn how to be submissive to men. Because I bet when she was young, she would mock guys. She would make fun of them. She'd be arrogant. She'd do the whole thing. And now you're not so arrogant, aren't you, Little Miss Slot? Little Miss 35-year-old cat lady Thought. Get some more cats. But seriously, lower your standards. Marry someone that you would deem below your means, if he's a decent, honorable guy. Don't have kids, because, like I said, we don't need any more pan-faced babies out there. We got enough of them as is. We got a surplus of pan-faced babies. All right? Marry someone, or marry someone that's older. Like I said, late 40s, early 50s. They might still find you attractive, and go from there. And that's pretty much at work. Just, you know what? Stock up, buy stock in Duracell, Purina, and the people that make kitty litter, because you're gonna need the kitty litter for those 10 cats you're gonna get in the future, and you're gonna need batteries for the Jackhammer 9000. So I think I'm gonna wrap this video up. It's ran a little long, 25 minutes actually. We'll see how much of it's intact and how good it is, and we'll go from there. So that's it for now. I hope you guys are having a great new year. Thank you once again for all the people that subbed to my channel. Thanks for the new subscribers that came along. With that being said, this is Grizzly Rising, and I am reporting from behind enemy lines. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.